the Honorable Vice President, Speaker of Parliament, the Honorable Chief Justice, Chief Minister, Cabinet Ministers, Members of Parliament, the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, Civil Society, Fourth Estate, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am back, hale and healthy. Not in the body bag as many had wished, but marched like an old soldier. Old soldiers never die. I also bring back good news that ends the agony and suffering of 130 of our compatriots in Lebanon. On September 21st, 14 of them arrived in Sierra Leone on board the Turkish Airlines. Further engagements with authorities in the consulate in Lebanon and authorities in Lebanon and agencies supporting the repatriation will continue until the last citizen returns home safely. My government is already providing psychosocial support care for the first batch, and we will soon finalize community reintegration support packages, including microcredit grants and business startup kits for them. Their suffering and pain reminds us as a government and as a country that we should and we must do everything in our power to provide opportunity for every Sierra Leonean in Sierra Leone. That is why my government has prioritized human capital development with three key staples: free quality education, accessible and affordable health care, and food security through domestic food production. Our initiatives are bearing fruits, and within the last 2 years, we are making steady progress. Preliminary data tells us that we are reducing maternal mortality and saving more lives because of the National Ambulance Services and investment in healthcare infrastructure and services in Sierra Leone. Our significantly low and declining COVID infection and death rates show that in spite of significant resource and other constraints, our interventions have been effective. We have received commendations internationally, and countries are adopting some of our measures to combat the pandemic. That said, COVID-19 is rare and deadly, and we must all be attentive to all healthcare directives in order to protect ourselves and our loved ones. At this juncture, let me congratulate 431,551 candidates who just completed the National Primary Examination, the Basic Education Certificate Examination, and the West African Senior Certificate Examination. This is by far the largest number of Sierra Leoneans who have had a chance to transition from one critical point of their education to another. In the last 2 years of my government's free quality education policy, there has been a 74% increase in the number of students who have attempted public exams. Even amidst global COVID-19 school closures, our country has achieved great success. Our education sector partners believe in our free quality education program and its impact for the future of our country. Within the last 6 months, they have mobilized about $66 million to support education in Sierra Leone. The World Bank's recent free education project is the largest investment in the sector. With this, we will continue to work to give access to and to keep our children, especially the girls, in school. Our sexual offences model courts are operational, and we not relent in our fight to protect and empower women and girls, and also fully include them in the development of this nation. As I have always reiterated, corruption is a threat to our moral timber as a nation of upstanding citizens, to our development, and to our national security. Our only option is to confront corruption head-on. Our only option is to confront corruption head-on and fight it boldly and resolutely. It is a fight we must fight. It is a fight we must win, because it is a fight for the very soul of our nation. We have made great progress over the last 2 years. National and international indicators have lauded our great success. We are encouraged by the success, but we must sustain the fight against corruption for our collective national good and for the future of our children and this nation. As the Attorney General and Minister of Justice has stated, the commissions we are tasked with conducting independent, fair, thorough, and impartial investigations into allegations of corruption and abuse of public office, and to make relevant findings and appropriate recommendations. All persons who we are summoned to the commissions of inquiry, we are not summoned because of their ethnic group, their religion, or their political party. They were summoned because they had been entrusted with the supreme responsibility to serve Sierra Leone. It is their conduct as individuals and their decisions while they serve this country that were the subject of close scrutiny by the commissions. So these commissions of inquiry should also serve as a strong warning to serving officials that you have a duty of care to make the best decisions and act always in the best interest of citizens of this country and of the nation. When one is appointed to serve one's country, one must also do so honestly, fairly, and with justice and diligence and compassion. Do not make Sierra Leoneans, especially the children, youth and women, victims of your greed. Although the Anti-Corruption Commission has the statutory mandate to combat corruption and investigate unlawfully acquired wealth, particularly in the public sector, the general public hardly gets an opportunity to actively and regularly follow up on most of the particularly high-profile investigations and prosecutions, because the operations of the ACC are mostly covered in execution. The Commission of Inquiry gave an opportunity to the people of this country to audibly follow the stewardship of persons in authority and see firsthand how some of those persons betrayed the public trust that was reposed in them by the people of Sierra Leone. Citizens are reminded also that they must actively but fairly question errant leaders. It is your civic duty to question unexplained wealth. But citizens are also reminded that prime ministers or parastatal heads steal or fraudulently convert state resources. They do so not to make themselves and their immediate family members comfortable. When corrupt leaders build mansions and accumulate huge bank accounts, it is not for their ethnic groups, region, political party to live on, but for themselves. It is for themselves and for their immediate families. We've had several commissions of inquiry in post-independence Sierra Leone. But Sierra Leoneans seem to have learned little to nothing from those past inquiries. We are determined to make this the last commission of inquiry in this country. This is not the usual charge, convict, levy tepid punishment, and reinstitute or reinstate as soon as citizens turn the other way. Once and for all, we are determined to draw a line. The staff we attach to the various commissions, including investigators and security personnel, public persons who appeared at the commission to testify, and those who gave information that was helpful to the work of the commission. I also thank journalists who cover the sittings of the commissions in an open and transparent manner, and for the benefit of both local and international audiences. Permit me, ladies and gentlemen, to name the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation, SLBC Television, a public broadcaster, and the Africa Young Voices, AYV Television, a privately owned broadcasting station. I also acknowledge and thank civil society, religious, allegations of corruption and abuse of public office to make relevant findings and provide appropriate recommendations to the government of Sierra Leone for our consideration. We are mindful that time and space could not permit an inquiry of this nature to cover every single economic, financial, and administrative activity of the immediate past government. But the commissioners did their best in the circumstances. They all served meritoriously. Government has carefully looked at the report of the commissions and the recommendations. The white paper documents the recommendations the government has accepted in the best interest of the people of Sierra Leone. Unlike other commissions, citizens are assured that this government will fully implement all the recommendations. I repeat, government will implement all the recommendations to the letter. The publication of this report is done pursuant to Section 149, subsection 2 of the Constitution of Sierra Leone, 1991, Act number 6 of 1991. The reports of the various commissions of inquiry established by the constitutional instruments numbers 64, 65, and 67 of 2018 are officially published together with their white papers. The Office of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice is instructed to effect the recommendations of the commissions of inquiry. to recover all monies recommended to be returned to the people of Sierra Leone, and to confiscate all assets recommended to be confiscated and all other such penalties as recommended. Persons and entities affected by the recommendations are guaranteed a peaceful and transparent judicial appeal process through which they can seek relief. So let me therefore caution every Sierra Leonean that the rule of law is supreme in this country. That the rule of law is supreme in this country. Those who may wish to incite or engage in unrest and violence in order to obstruct the process of implementing the full enforcement of the recommendations will be subject to the full force of the law. This is not the last of investigations into corruption by former leaders. The ACC and other law enforcement agencies are mandated to investigate issues that the commissions of inquiry did not have sufficient time to investigate. Investigations, arrest, and prosecution for corruption will continue as long as they are permissible within the laws of our country. Let me conclude by formally receiving the reports of the Commission and the white paper as mandated by laws of this country. These are the reports and the white papers. And I have the opportunity, the privilege to formally launch these ones and also use the opportunity again to warn our fellow compatriots that they carry the full force of the law. Thank you all for your attention.